Hi all, this is Miss Adler, and today we are going to do perspective from the point of view of looking up at skyscrapers and into a sky of warm color. And first, just talk about materials. One you could use crayons. For outlining, you can use a black Sharpie or a crayon, my most trusted crayon. You should start with drawing a pencil and drawing lightly. I will be drawing dark so you guys can see it. And for details, we can use marker and use water as a wash for the marker, or we can do watercolor or colored pencils. It's for coloring in your cityscape. So I'm going to begin first by looking at I'm going to show you, I'll show you some pictures of a finished piece on the team's general page for your grade. But the first thing that you're going to do you're going to draw 3 horizontal lines. So let's just start somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to draw a vertical line, excuse me. I'm going to draw 3 vertical lines, and they can be longer than the other or shorter than the other or the same length. It's up to you. Then on each vertical line, you're going to draw 2 diagonal lines or an upside down V going from your the top of your vertical line. So you're going to draw 2 diagonal lines or an upside down V. It'll look like arrows pointing upward. The next thing that you're going to do, so we can give this a little bit more perspective, is you're going to draw 3 more lines. And I'm going to draw 3 lines below my first 3 lines. So I'm going to draw a vertical line here, another vertical line, and another vertical line. And they're about the same length. And you're going to do the same thing, a diagonal line or an upside down V going out towards from the top vertical line. So now with the lines that you just drew, the 3 shorter lines, the second row, draw your vertical lines from the bottom of the upside down V all the way down to the end of your page. Do the same for the other 2 that you drew for the second row. I'll tell you that once you've done that, now you'll be able to show some perspective of what is in front and what is behind. So I'll start with the first 3 lines that we began, and I'm going to start drawing a vertical line going from the bottom of my upside down V down to the end of the page. And I'm going to draw a straight line going from the end of the V, but instead of going right through the second group of lines, I'm just going to stop right there at the top. So it'll look like that building is closer or in front of the building that we drew in the beginning. So I'm going to do the same thing on the second building, and I want to just extend the line so that these 2 buildings are basically touching one another. It's up to you to think which one is in front or how the line hits the side of the upside down V. And you're going to continue to do this third line vertically, and the line from the end of the upside down V to extend and touch the upside down V in the below. So now you have a group of buildings that look like that you're they look like one is in front of the other, one is behind the other. And before we go to the sky, I want to put some windows on your building, and to show more perspective in the direction of those windows, I'm going to make a rhombus or a parallelogram where this line of the upside down V is parallel to the line, and it'll give you more perspective. If you have watercolor, you can add your color by using your water to make your well of color wet, and you just roll your watercolor into your brush, and you can start using the watercolor in the spots that you want to have your paper. And it's the same thing with your buildings. I suggest making the buildings cool colors, the greens and the purples and the blues, so to show contrast in the sky and your buildings, the warmth of the sky and the buildings. And there's no harm in mixing your markers with the watercolor, but I definitely would make your buildings a contrast to the sky. So I'm gonna finish this while you are watching, and also stop anytime if you need, just a different or slower pace. Absolutely take your time when you're making your buildings, and experiment with the colors that you use and making the watercolor, and it's okay that it runs. So I'm gonna finish this, and with crayon or with the marker, and have fun, take your time, and in the end, once everything is dry and dry to the touch, then you can outline in your marker or colored pencil or crayon. So I'm still continuing to work on my buildings, and I'm not losing sight of the detail of the windows and the designs on the side. Be more careful than I am when it comes to coloring it in. Definitely you can use the side of your crayon to make a watercolor different technique, like taking the water after using the flat side of your marker and pushing your the marker around to make a watercolor effect. Absolutely experiment using your washable markers as a watercolor technique, and you know, take the time, you know, let the water dry on your paper. I recommend using just a hair dryer. Be careful with it with water, but a hair dryer can help dry your paper fast if you're in a hurry. And I do that a lot with the work that I do because I'm impatient and I would like to get things done, and but you know, may not have all the time. So I usually have a hair dryer. Otherwise, just put it in the sun and make sure that your paper and the hair dryer is away from a you know, water. So you know, I'm just kind of finishing up, and again, I'm using crayon. You can use any dark color to use for defining your building, you know, where you placed your pencil. Absolutely make sure that your paper is dry before you use the dry material like the crayons and the colored pencils. So I'm going to continue to do a few more buildings here before I let it dry, and I will go for the outline. Just make sure that your paper is dry before you do the final part of your buildings to make them more defined as you work on your building. The more detail, the better, and it really does make your work more interesting by layering and not just coloring in what you've done, but adding the pencil marks that you made to make your buildings come to life on your paper. So maybe I'll get a dryer or just wait just a few minutes before this building will dry, and then you can complete using the marker or the crayon. So the buildings are still drying, and I am using as the areas of the paper is drying, I can use my dry crayons, or if you like, you can use the dark markers that you have to do some more outlining. This is an almost complete picture of a cityscape in perspective and using warm colors and cool colors. And I hope you will enjoy this project, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.